Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. I'm Rebecca, joined this week by Evan, as per the usual, sort of a core crew going on here. And we are playing a little bit of Evan's favorite faction, Skorne, versus one of my, I would say, top 13 factions, the Grymkin. We're playing what I would describe as maybe two of the most powerful and dynamic casters in their respective factions. I'm playing the Dreamer in Dark Menagerie, complete with the horrifyingly terrible Clockatrice that have been haunting the internet with their specter.
But only two of them.
Correct. And Evan is playing
Rasheth,
the big man himself.
with 3 battle engines, but only 2 of them are turtles.
I mean, that's the most turtles you're allowed to have.
Shh.
Yeah, this is a sort of meta boogie person, I guess. A specter.
Yeah, they're really strong lists that a lot of people have been playing.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about those a little bit more in depth?
Sure.
I have Rasheth with his battle group of a Aradus Sentinel, a Krea, and a Agonizer. We've also got Marketh for free. In addition to those things, I have 2 big bad turtles and 1 big bad Supreme Guardian. So we've got 3 battle engines that are all very strong under this caster. Takes up a lot of points, takes up a lot of space on the table, and it means that you don't have a lot of other models to work with, but God, they are a powerhouse. We've also got a minimum unit of Venator Slingers. They're kind of the core of Rasheth's magic use in this game, as well as, they can do stuff on their own if they are in range to do it. Like Flare is not bad, Erosion's not bad on Clockatrice, but for the most part, they're there to be arc nodes that are killed and then brought back by the Supreme Guardian and then killed again and then brought back by the Supreme Guardian, in a kind of weird, tortury way that I'm sure Reshef would really enjoy. In addition to that, we've got 2 units of minimum beast handlers, a Venator cannon crew, a novitiate to help out the big green boy, mine's green. Yours might not be green. You can paint it however you like, but mine is green. We've got a Willbreaker, and I believe that covers Extoller Soulward. That was the one I was missing. That's all I've got. On to your list.
Sure. So I'm playing the Dreamer in Dark Menagerie. My requisition options are 2 modules of 2 Gremlin Swarms for a total of 4 Gremlin Swarms, field allowance adjusted by the theme, 1 Baron Lick Tongue, and then I have 2 Moans, 2 Cage Ridgers, 2 Clockatrice, a Gorehound, and a Death Knell.
It's a big bad beast brick with a pretty sweet control caster. It's got a lot of meat and it's super intimidating, and there's a wide variety of beasts that in their own ways are all very difficult to deal with, whether it be armor, avoidance of debuffs, time stutter, or anything else you may bring to bear with the Dreamer.
The proverbial did I time stutter?
I hate it.
And with that, we're going to share our deployment.
So moving into the game, you won the die roll and opted to go first. I chose the side with fewer walls on it so that my deployment wouldn't be as bad with the 3 huge bases. But what's your plan here? What have you got for us?
So I've got a little bit of terrain to engage with. I took repair as my objective, so I'm basically placing the Clockatrice opposite the pieces of terrain that I'm afraid they might have a bit of trouble getting over. So I'm going to Cage Ridgers. I'm fairly wide in this. I'd often break up a little tighter than this, but I'm trying to see if I can go wide enough that I force you to have to split and pick your vectors. We'll see how that works. Same thing. Gremlin Swarms are fairly far fanned out, available to do things like Serenity, and all of my pieces that are capable of having corpses have started the game with a corpse.
Sounds good. So over on my side, we're going to do this fairly simply. Supreme Guardian is going to be in the middle because we want him to be where he can collect the most souls. Turtle on either flank, because if I put 2 on one flank, it feels like I'm maybe pressuring that one too much. Again, these are very few high-value pieces that I need to get a lot of work out of in order to make sure this list doesn't peter out immediately. Thankfully, Rasheth can recycle slingers fairly effectively and sling spells like nobody's business. Sunder Spirit's going to be very good in this matchup, as if a Moans wants to hide behind a wall and I Sunder Spirit, it's not going to be able to get over that wall with Pathfinder because it won't have Lurker. If Gremlin Swarms happen to be outside of 3 inches of a Cage Rager, or if I just want to do it more than once because I think it's worth it, we can just Sunder Spirit some Gremlin Swarms off the table. I don't think the Clockatrice Animus is particularly vital in this matchup. I could be wrong about that. Maybe we'll see. But I don't think losing it is necessarily that bad. But if I cripple an aspect with a spell and still have stuff to get in range for melee, all the better. Or if it ports away and I have range to it with certain spells, all the better, because we can just Sunder Spirit it to death. But enough of my rambling. On to your turn 1.
Yeah. So, fairly basic stuff here. I'm just unpacking. Dreamer casts Mirage on a Skin of Moans. She puts Artifice out. She casts Lurker on herself, and she charges at the Supreme Guardian over the wall. So Lurker there just to get Pathfinder, so she doesn't have to spend the first turn being incorporeal. Has flexibility for next turn. Skin of Moans with Mirage leads the way. Death Knell comes up right behind it. Everything in the Knell aura thus far. Clockatrice comes up into cover. Cage Rager comes up as far as it can. Available as an Arc Node. Clockatrice runs up into range of the Death Knell, but not in cover. Probably should have put this one in cover. Mistakes were made. Skin of Moans runs up. I only really have Dreamer in the Artifice here. Probably could have positioned the Artifice to be a little bit more effective, but I didn't want to use it as an excuse to clump up, but I also maybe should have been a little bit more conservative with it. I also run these 2 Gremlin Swarms wide, thinking that they'll keep them safe in some way, leave them outside the Death Knell's aura or collection range, which Evan immediately decides to capitalize on.
So, yeah, before even going into the deployment or the game itself, looking at just the list across from me and seeing it's Dreamer, my plan at the get-go was aggressively position to take out Gremlin Swarms in the early game with Sunder Spirit. That way they can't cause me issues with tearing apart my battle engines, and they can't cause me issues by standing in the way. And we can do it fairly easily with Sunder Spirit and the Extoller Soulward giving Resheth Eyeless Sight. We can both avoid that stealth, and these slingers are here to die for this exact purpose. So I have no problems with just throwing away these slingers to kill some Gremlin Swarms. Now, unfortunately, I have to activate the slingers first to get them in range of the Gremlin Swarms for Sunder Spirit, and then activate the Supreme Guardian, so I won't be able to gather the souls and then bring back the models in the same turn. That said, the Supreme Guardian's still going to get a couple souls off of this, so we'll still be able to bring those models back later in the game. This turtle is just going to trample up and start shooting at Clockatrice that happened to be in its range. So I get 2 shots there, and we're just going to put in some damage, see what we can do. We actually crush it pretty hard, do 4 damage with the 1 shot, miss with the second one, and repo back a little bit. Then we do our fairly typical Skorne turn 1, which is whip a bunch with Beast Handlers and then heal the turtle. So that one happened to be healed to full. The second one, we're looking at the Skin of Moans. Again, happens to be within 23 inches of a turtle.
Not really much choice there.
Exactly. We get 3 shots this time, and we're just going to, again, unload, do what we can, reposition out of any real threat. And we actually do a significant portion of damage to the Skin and Moans. And then we, again, do the same thing. Whip it with Beast Handlers. Heal it a couple points. It's only taking 1 damage total. But it is full rage tokens ready to roll. Other than that, we're going to just start with Rasheth.
Got given Eyeless Sight from the Extoller.
Got given Eyeless Sight from the Extoller, so the stealth on the Gremlin Swarms, no problem here. Gremlin Swarms, easy enough to hit. Only need 5s. Roll that 5, boost that damage, kill that Gremlin Swarm. Boom. That's 1.
Should have put that in range to get a corpse at least.
Second one, same dealie.
And at
boom,
this
boom,
point,
pow.
I tell Evan I'm not going to let him have that soul. Instead, I'm going to turn it into a mouse.
Totally fair.
That's what they call a hat trick.
I suppose that's the technical term for the rule, but also it's not a hat trick. Anyways.
The mouse has a hat.
It does. None of the other phantasms do.
Well, there's 3 of them, Evan. That's called a hat trick. It's a sporting term.
I guess.
From sports.
Some support solos move up behind the wall. Some other ones move down here. I realize that I've put a lot of my solos towards the top side of the table, yet my flag is on the bottom side.
If only there was some way one could have anticipated that.
I was thinking that my models would be more useful on the top side here. And we kind of adjust. We move the Novitiate down, and we move Marketh down so that they can at least run next turn if they want to get onto that flag. So we have an option. And we do have a decent number of the Extoller Soulward's also around there somewhere. So we have some options there. It's just like all of them are very important in actually doing their actions.
Yeah, this isn't a list that has a lot of chaff.
Mm-hmm. So I move up with the Sentinel and Ryle. I didn't realize that phantasms don't have the incorporeal rule. The word phantasm is a bit misleading for
I thought you were deliberately not killing this model.
because
if you don't kill it, I can't return it, right?
Right.
So I was my plan was Evan's going to come up, he's going to kill this mouse guard, and then I'm going to kill another slinger and remove another soul.
See, turns out ignorance is bliss. It all worked out because I didn't know the rule.
It hurts me when you play well by being bad.
I inherently can't be bad if the first part of that sentence is I'm playing well.
That's just not true. But I understand where your head's at. So some things happen. Dreamer Reeves back to full. She serenities a couple of Fury off the beasts who are adjacent to Gremlin Swarms. She upkeeps Mirage for free thanks to the Baron. The Mirage Moans moves 2 inches forward and is still just out of range of that turtle, so I wonder what's going to happen with that. The Musguard moves and gets into position. The Cage Rager runs to within 8 inches of the turtle, and Dreamer's going to go next, and she spends 3 to cast Abyssal Gate.
It's at this moment that I remember that that's a spell she has.
It is. A hit, and it's dice down 8. And I roll a 7 and boost after rolling and do 1 point of damage. Future Sight's really awesome. It gives her a lot of potential efficiency with the Abyssal Gate play. You do have to damage for Abyssal Gate to get the place effect, so that was very important. So now my plan is to send a Moans in to kill the turtle. And to do that, I need Manifest Destiny. So she casts Manifest Destiny. And that's 0 camp. So I'm going to back off a little bit. So my Arcana, which are probably worth mentioning at this stage in the game, I picked, obviously, All Fall Down as mandatory. We've probably put this on a title card on the first slide, but it's just worth reminding. I also have Ruin. I took Ruin because I feel like in this matchup, I need more than just the Cage Rager's Arcane Vortex. I need the ability to let Resheth Bloodmark something, and then go to Sunder Spirit, and then cancel the Sunder Spirit and clear the Bloodmark. That line of play is very strong in terms of what he might do with his resources, and I think it might save me from being able to be spell assassinated by him. Maybe not. And then the other one that I took was the Shadow, because he's got a lot of models that have larger bases than me, and I have enough 2-inch melee ranges that I feel like I can probably leverage that. Have a turtle charge in on a beast that the Dreamer's kind of bricked up around. I moved the Moans forward to right behind the forest, maybe a little bit of an aggressive placement for it, and I was hoping to move the Death Knell to a slightly better spot, but I end up playing it. I look for some spots that it can be, and I end up having to play it a little bit more conservatively. So I'm a little further back on the board than I'd like to be. Gremlin Swarm runs up to the flag. The Baron just jumps into the cover. He doesn't do anything particularly exciting. Clockatrice forfeits movement to aim, takes a shot, kills a random slinger who fails his tough check and gets to give a soul to the Supreme Guardian. And I look at what other things this Clockatrice could take out. I don't have a lot of amazing options, so I hold off on activating it. I run the Cage Rager a little bit closer to Dreamer, just so it's the reserve heavy I've got. And we send the Manifest Destinied Skin and Moans in. So it pays 1 to charge, hits its charge attack. Under Manifest and 2 corpses, it's doing POW Strength 18, so dice down 2. Rolls a little below for Manifest, but still does a nice 9 points of damage. Second initial, kills and RFPs the Slinger, gets its 3rd corpse, ready to be that POW Strength 19 again. To be 19 again, right, Evan? Are you still 19?
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't, was it? So I'm buying attacks. I do pretty well damage-wise. I think I leave the
6 boxes.
6 boxes is close enough that I'm like, oh, I can almost do that. So I debate a few things. I debate sending the Gorehound in. I decide to send the Clockatrice in. It's probably a little bit of a mistake. I'm maybe giving up too many of my pieces all at once. But I send the Clockatrice in for an Assault Spray. Which hits.
Yeah.
And I boost damage here.
I mean, I think it's really bad if this turtle's still alive, but you do have to commit a lot in order to actually take it off the table. The Paralyzed Spray was pretty good. I wasn't expecting the Clockatrice to just come across the table like that. But this Gorehound actually does the work you need. And
it's possible that Gorehound would have finished it, and because it's so possible the Gorehound would have finished it, I probably should have activated it before the clock. If it killed it, I could have had the Clockatrice both in the Death Knell aura, in cover, and relevant for a later choice. So I think I'm going to qualify that as a mistake. I'll own up to that. I replace the Aradus, or the turtle, with the Elephant Man, and I now have a decision to make about where I'm going to place him.
Yeah, you were originally thinking about pushing around the Sentinel, but it does have Sturdy, so that's not quite an option. So I think you just opt to jam pretty hard with it.
I stay out of the 3-inch melee range of the Supreme Guardian, and I just kind of stick it forward, try to make landing spots a bit more awkward, force Evan to have to kind of deal with it first. It might interrupt the flow of his turn a little bit. And importantly, I've placed it within 8 inches of the corpse cart because despite being soulless and corporeal, they are still corpses.
So weird.
I mean, it's kind of on theme though, right? She's sort of weird as her brand.
I guess. Yeah.
You know, most of the time she's asleep, right?
Uh-huh. I mean, dreamer. Duh.
This brings real meaning to the term sleeping with the enemy.
I'm going to go ahead and pretend you didn't say that.
That more or less defines our relationship.
So I'm looking at the table and thinking, wow, there's a whole lot of heavies in my face. How many of them can I kill? This is definitely Resheth's feat turn. I think often with Resheth's feat, you don't get to put as many models in it as you'd like, or at the very least, you don't get to thread as many models in it as you'd like. But I just have 5 heavies right in front of me ready to go. So we're going to do our best here and take out as many as possible. So there's some important things we have to do, though. I want to make a landing spot for the Supreme Guardian to get on in there and do his thing. But I also want to not waste a potential landing spot because the stupid pinata is there. But
his name is the Elephant Man?
The Elephant Man? No, I think his name is Large Phantasm.
That's not his real name.
So we got to take out the big pinata, and then we'll have a bit of a landing spot. But also, I want to do it with Resheth, because that means that all of my pieces are still ready to go once that landing spot has been cleared. So, issues with that. Ruin is a Arcana that is still on the table. So if I want to, I have to kill it first and then bloodmark something. But if I kill it first and then, or kill bloodmark something, it doesn't get ruined, and then kill it, then the bloodmark expires because of the Arcane Pulse or whatever the rule is on that. Or if I want to Sunder Spirit it and then it gets ruined and then Sunder Spirit again, then I most likely don't have enough fury for another blood mark after that. And even then, it could also be ruined, which none of that is good. So what do we do? So this is a proxy base for the Supreme Guardian. This is where he can go and what he can get if that Pinata is still alive when he goes in. So currently it's Skin and Moans, Clockatrice, and the bronze bag itself. And yeah, that's not too bad. We move up these Paingivers because the turtle that they were medicating is now dead, so they're now going to be used as arc nodes forever. I move one to specifically make it so that I can target it, clip both heavies, and collect it as a soul for my Supreme Guardian, so that my Supreme Guardian's now on max souls and can go in with full power, ready to just crush whatever it hits. Roll really well with the Sentinel on the Skin and Moans for damage because
8 boxes.
Yes, because it has poison and it can boost after that, so 4 dice damage on the Skin and Moans is pretty awesome. At this point, I haven't feeded yet, so Rasheth has still got to go and use his feat to make everything even easier to kill. Feralgeist moves on up. I debate whether or not I want to use him to take over the Skin and Moans once it dies. Skin and Moans isn't very impressive, though, once it's not in a battle group. I guess it still has its corpses and could kind of heal with them. Maybe it's a bit more interesting than I give it credit for in the game, but we don't end up going for that. I do use the cannon crew to try and take out, I believe it's the Clockatrice, or at least put some more damage in it. See if I can, make it easier to deal with the Time Stiller thing. And then I realize I've done a lot of damage to that Skin and Moans. If I can kill the Skin and Moans, that means that the Supreme Guardian can go even deeper when it activates. And if I kill the Skin and Moans and the Pinata before the Supreme Guardian activates, he's going to be able to go and just start killing the other Cage Ranger and the other Skin and Moans. And if I can do that, then we've got an incredible attrition lead on this turn. So that's what we start working towards. The Krea moves up and paralyzes the Skin and Moans, which is great because it means that when I go with the turtle, I can charge in at the Clockatrice, kill the Pinata, start shooting the Skin and Moans, and potentially take it off the table. We also are going to continue to debate what we want to do with the Resheth. Resheth's fully buffed up now. He's got both Harmonious Exaltation and Puppet Master, so he's going to be able to just kind of go all willy-nilly with his spells and try to do whatever he wants. But again, I can't activate him to feat until I kill this stupid Pinata, because I really want to blood mark something and have it not be an issue. So what do we do? We measure it out. We proxy it. All right, if the turtle goes here and he can't get to the back Skin and Moans, he's just out of range. But we can knock down the Clockatrice, put some gunshots into the other Skin and Moans, maybe kill it, maybe make that, deeper vector for the Supreme Guardian, but we'll see what we can do. I think ultimately I decided to go with Rasheth first here before I activate the turtle and just go for the Sunder Spirit on this Pinata. Because if I know now, if I kill this Pinata with a Sunder Spirit or spells, I'm likely going to have to deal with the Shadow, which means that I might not want to put the turtle in first, although if I put the turtle in first, kill the clock, kill the Skin and Moans, then the Shadow ends up being far back where the other Skin and Moans and the Cage Ranger is, or it's procced early and put next to where the turtle is once it goes in on this Clockatrice, which seems not ideal because I can more or less completely avoid it by knocking it down with the turtle and then just repoing away from it.
Got complicated there, didn't it?
It did. This is playing against Grymkin. the story, it gets complicated when you take into account all of these things. So
if you knock it down and reap away from it, like Abyss will get you and bring you back.
I hate it. So I end up Sunder Spiriting and killing the Pinata, then blood marking twice to get it onto the Skin and Moans.
Because the Cage Rager cancels the first one.
Because the Cage Rager cancels the first one. And that's where we're at. Actually, no. I say I'm going to Sunder Spirit first on the Skin and Moans and ask if you want to ruin it.
Right, and I opt not to.
And you opt not to. And then I boost damage and no, I blood mark it. I don't remember what happened here, apparently. But there was a token that went down, and I assume that's blood mark. And then a beast handler died. And the soul was directed to a Soulward in the back. But the gist of it is, blood marks on the Skin and Moans, feet is up, and the Pinata died. So we're ready to rock and roll. These slingers are just gonna go in and just make their attacks because they can. They're not really important in any particular way. They were kind of just in the way of the Animantarax, and now they're not. So they make an attack against the Clockatrice, and I'm like, it's not great if I proc Time Stutter. I'm going to make the next attack against the Skin and Moans and then just flub it entirely, and it doesn't matter. So they went, and they made attacks, I guess. Not important. And then we go in with the turtle. You don't proc the shadow.
I'm out of range. I check.
Indeed. Right? It's command range, not control range. There we go. So charge attack works, knocks the clock down.
Again, I should have played this clock further back. If I just tried to rely on the Gorehound to kill the turtle, maybe I still send it up. But
you may have noticed the damage roll there was a 15, which is dice even. You do Time Stutter out of melee with me. You borrow your proxy base from the other Skin and Moans, however. Now, fun thing about this, it means I'm not in melee with anything anymore. So we're just going to dial up our gun and see what happens.
Well, I mean, you have dual attack anyway, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so it's not that big a deal.
So dial up our gun. We get a whopping 3 shots. All right. First things first. Let's do that Skin and Moans. Well, okay. We'll just spike the dice even and kill it. Great. 2 more shots. Well, let's pop them into that knockdown Clockatrice. We'll just roll an 11 for damage for that too, and it's dead.
Yep, you just kill it.
Oh, sorry, I put both of those shots. Or no,
took the last one into the other Clockatrice and missed, I think.
I think so. Yes, into the in-cover Clockatrice or the Cage Rager or something. I just shoot another heavy, and then I'm like, okay. Now I have that other lane into the Skin and Moans and the Cage Rager in the back that is blocked by a slinger. So I boost a spear attack into my own slinger, kill it, and then I'm like, great, now I have a charge vector. And then when I proxy this out, I'm like, this turtle wants to reposition as to not get hit by the Thresher that would absolutely annihilate it because he has siege weapon. So there's the spear attack that's going to kill my own slinger. You do not collect the corpse from it. And I just kind of opt to go laterally with the turtle so that I'm blocking Rasheth a little bit better from any threats you might pose. And then this activation happens, I guess. So Thresher attack. Going against the Skin and Moans of the Cage Rager. First attack into the Skin and Moans. This is the charge attack. That's going to be a 15, which plus 3 does 18 damage to the Skin and Moans. The attack...
19 and you're 22, yeah.
Yep. And then actually roll trip 1s on the Cage Rager and only do 5 damage to it. All right, well, that's fine. Into our souls now. We buy attack into the Skin and Moans and kill it. And then we buy our last 2 attacks into the other Cage Rager. I do 11 damage with the first hit. And I do dub 6's 15 damage with the second hit. And kill the Cage Rager. That Supreme Guardian just killed a Cage Rager and a Skin and Moans like it was nothing. just absolutely obliterated them. That said,
This is looking bad for our heroes.
I don't think anyone on the table here is a hero, but sure.
Grymkin are the heroes. The heroes we deserve.
So, I've done a lot of work this turn, but my 2 most valuable pieces are now incredibly far forward. And if they are removed, then things get bad.
Going to be tough to remove pieces on your feet turn is the problem.
Indeed it is.
Supreme Guardian Defensive Strike is a really big factor. I do score a point here on the flag.
Yes, you do. I do not, because I didn't put a solo on my flag, because I needed all of them to make that
I mean, I'm in a
happen.
air quotes good spot scenario-wise, which is very typical of the experience against Rasheth, where he takes your entire army and cedes a little bit of scenario presence to do it. And you're like, yeah, I got up 2 points at the cost of only half my army. And he's like, okay, how about the other half? Can you get those points now? And you're like, no, that's the end of it. So I'm a little bit concerned about that factor. Gremlin Swarms apparate. Dreamer Spirit Reaves some fury. The Cage Rager is not super close to the Supreme Guardian. And being behind the Death Knell, it can't charge spectacularly far. So, I've got some choices to make. And it includes figuring out how I'm going to deal with really the 2 business pieces left in Evan's army. And sort of quick math suggests that it won't do it. The Baron comes up and he tries to Abyssal Gate the Supreme Guardian. Does not do sufficient damage to damage it. Worth a crack. Dreamer goes. She contemplates her fury for a few minutes, but I advance a little bit with her. She Wraith Walks this turn. She spends 3 to Abyssal Gate the Supreme Guardian, and then she rolls a 6 for damage. She needs a 7 to break, so she does 4 points, and she gets to pull it forward with Abyssal Gate. It cleverly spent all of its souls just killing my entire army, so it didn't end up mattering. It didn't end up having an Arcane Vortex.
So it did not.
Which is fine, because I think Evan got sufficient work out of it. If it had left another Cage Rager alive, that would probably have been worse. So I place it here, and Dreamer casts Manifest Destiny, and she's on 0 camp again, hoping that Ruin keeps her alive. Gremlin Swarm advances, stays just outside of the melee range, and does 6 points of damage with its sweet sabotage abilities. Crawls inside and mucks with some of the gears. The Death Knell charges the now damaged Supreme Guardian. Its impact does, I think, maybe a point, maybe not. But then the strength on its 4-die Weapon Master Knell attack is -4 because of the combination of both the feat and the Agonizer. So it doesn't do very much with that.
Note, -4 to its strength, not -4 the damage roll.
No, that's a big deal. It's POW 6 against armor 19, so it's -13 on the damage.
Yeah.
The Cage Rager, though, because of the placement of Abyssal Gate and its charge vector, is outside of both the feat and the Agonizer.
Very important.
So the Cage Rager does a truckload of damage. It really just performs. Manifest is it's a hell of a drug. So it ends up doing a bunch of damage with Manifest Destiny. And I think at this point you're on what? I think I just killed you? Yep.
Yep. You're replacing it with the Lancer Pumpkin?
Yeah. And he's a solo, so he runs to score the flag.
Indeed.
Which is pretty cool. I end up tucking him in a little bit. So he's in range of Arcane Vortex, basically. But then I move him so he's outside of Breath of Corruption range of the Gremlin Swarm. There's some decisions to be made there. The Gorehound, under Manifest Destiny, charges a Beast Handler and kills him, and buys an attack on the other Beast Handler and kills him, and pays 1 to sprint back. And this is basically, trying to remove tools from Evan's list, trying to take as many pieces away on the side of the board as possible, remove his ability to channel a little bit. The Mouse Guard advances into melee with the Sentinel, so basically the Sentinel has to move, or you have to deal with the Mouse Guard first. And then a Gremlin Swarm advances into range of the Turtle and does 5 damage to the Turtle. That's key because it doesn't do grievous wounds, but the Gremlin Swarms say that a model damaged by them can't heal.
Mm-hmm.
And if Evan activates his battle engine adjacent to it, either gets -2 speed, -2 damage, or -2 to hit.
Which is super not good.
Yeah, so
None of those are good.
the Gremlin Swarms there just kind of trying to make things as difficult as possible.
Yeah. Especially because those are -2 to the stat. So they are not sorry, they're not -2 to the stat, they're -2 to the roll. So it applies to both melee and ranged attacks, which is not great.
The Clockatrice here had a sliver of line of sight between the forest and the turtle, by which he charged, I think, a beast handler. His assault spray killed his charge target, a couple of beast handlers, and he's able to redirect his initial into the turtle. He boosts damage on it. He puts the other 2 attacks, I think. The first one does 3 damage, just rolls boxcars for damage, but the turtle's pretty ridiculously high defense right here. I killed the Agonizer, I think, with the assault spray.
Yes, you one-shot the Agonizer with the assault spray.
Yeah, so I did boost that. So the clock is on full, having put a damage boost in, an animus boost, and an assault. But I think I did a little bit of damage to the turtle. The turtle's taken something like 10 boxes of damage.
Yeah, he has 25 boxes left.
Yeah, that's not a terrible spot for him. Dreamer scores another point on her flag. And I lost 5 heavies, and Evans lost 2 battle engines. It's not great. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that.
So now I'm at the point of just making sure you can't win via scenario. So the Sentinel is going to ignore the mouse guard in front of it and just get magic weapons from the objective, spray the Gremlin Swarm and the Pumpkin Lancer, and then just take those pieces off the table.
I was really, really excited for the fact that you were going to stay within an inch of the mouse guard. His annoyance was going to give you -1 to hit, even though you turned so you weren't engaging him anymore. And then you were going to miss by 1, but then you just rolled well and killed them both.
Yep.
So I was going to have like a really cute moment where I was really excited about it. And then like it didn't matter at all. So here we are. You target the Dreamer, so you clip both.
Indeed. These, yep. Boost hits exactly. Boost hits by a bunch. And then we just kind of kill both of them with POW 14s. I realize now I boosted on the Lancer, but it's a living model, right? So I would have gotten poisoned too.
Good point.
Either way, I could have riled for that 1 point, and it doesn't matter.
And then you Swift Huntered, and then realized swiftly that you don't have that theme benefit anymore.
Yep. Nope. Swift Hunter is no longer a part of Winds of Death for your beasts. Instead, you have Repo 3 on your weapon crews.
Possibly better.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Fairly lateral, but
it's not that extra 2 inches with the Sentinel would not have made a big difference in this particular scenario. And then we continue on with our stuff. Marketh has started to get a pile of souls. That Gremlin Swarm's there. I move him to be like, and he's just going to Sunder Spirit that Gremlin Swarm. And then I'm like, nope, that Gremlin Swarm has stealth. This is a dumb idea. We're just going to put things within 5 inches of the Gremlin Swarm. And then arc through Resheth.
I think you actually do one better than that. You give Rasheth out of sight.
6-1, half dozen of the other. Just
you move the Novitiate up to the scoring flag, so you're like, now I'm going to score.
You don't have a big rock robot to tend to anymore. Go hug that pole. I'm
not sure that's what their cast is all about, but, you know.
He's not wearing a shirt, and he's got hammer pants. I'm sure he'd be fine at the job.
Stop. Novitiate time. Is it Novitiate night at the strip club? I've lost the thread entirely of what's happening. I assume Sunder Spiriting a Gremlin Swarm?
Sunder Spiriting a Gremlin Swarm. You're collecting a corpse from it. You're debating whether or not you want to ruin it, I think.
Yeah, that's what I look at here. I opt not to, and then you kill it, and I'm not sure I regret my choice. It's still probably the right call.
Marketh gets the soul from that dying blood. No, why do I want to call them blood runners? They are Paingivers. Yeah, he has 3 souls now, which is pretty sweet. Not sure what he's going to use them for, because I haven't put up an upkeep spell that hasn't just immediately ended because I killed the thing I put it
Does
on.
he have Ghost Shield?
He has Ghost Shield.
So there you go. They're armor.
I guess. And then something is happening.
We're doing a little bit of math on the fury that you've spent because I'm trying to keep track of whether or not I want to ruin a blood mark.
Yeah. I end up not casting any more spells and backing up. Krea, this Krea has been an anomaly for me this entire goddamn game because I just don't know where to put him because I don't want to put him far enough forward that he gets Abyssal or killed just from the Cage Rager. Because as much as the Dreamer doesn't necessarily want to spend those resources, Tonguelick can just do it for free. So I'm activating the turtle, putting a couple of shots into the Cage Rager, I think, at this point. Or no, there's the Clockatrice that's directly beside this turtle.
I think I did end up ruining the blood mark. You cast blood mark on the Clockatrice.
Yes, that's what it was. I do remember that.
So you're attacking a Clockatrice that has not been blood marked.
Indeed. Just doing what I can to it.
You actually roll pretty great. And you end up doing a ton of damage without taking out an aspect.
Yes. I think I boost the damage roll here and just kind of flub it, but I can't not cripple an aspect with the damage roll I rolled. You kind of port back. That said, you're still in range of my Venator cannon crew if they move to get line of sight. Or actually, they can aim now because I have repo. Hadoy. So they do that. They get 3 shots. They shoot the clock. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is a poor choice. They're just going to cripple an aspect and it's going to port away. And then I do 2 damage and don't cripple an aspect. And then roll a 10 for damage.
And you kill the clock.
It's like, oh, that's cool. And then I just put the last shot into Death Knell and do nothing to it.
That cannon crew rolling that 10 was rough. I could have really appreciated having another heavy this turn.
Clockatrice are really weird and swingy. Because either it goes perfectly for you, or they just balance their damage rolls and you die in one hit, and it sucks.
There's a strategy to engaging with them that if you don't know, they can end up being really tilting. But you've been playing that strategy quite well. Here's you not sure what to do with the Krea. You end up putting it in the middle.
I'm just like, it'll be fine here. It'll be fine. Just stand in front of Rasheth. Make sure he doesn't die. Be on 2 so he can still transfer, and then we'll score a 1 for the flag and ship it to you.
So, Dreamer reaves and takes your fury back. I do read from the top Gorehound. It just takes me a second to make that note. I got some trouble here for sure. I've got to deal with how to score this bottom flag, which I need a solo for, and you've killed most of my Gremlin Swarms. Bear and Tonguelick cannot get there. I do a bit of measuring to make that determination pretty clearly, and I can't get there. I've got a Cage Rager, but it's not in range to get to the turtle, so that turtle is going to be a tricky proposition to deal with. The Death Knell is facing the wrong way to charge the turtle, because a 4-die damage roll would be pretty solid if I could get a charge in there. I debate a few things, including Abyssal Gating it, and I ultimately go a more scenario pressure focused way, hoping I can sort of eke it out on a low, kind of end turn kind of scenario. So the Mouse Guard, who was not engaged by the Sentinel, if you recall, because he sprayed, runs a little bit out and then back to the flag. So that's my solo for that problem. The Cage Rager advances to get within 8 inches of the Sentinel and in 6 inches of the Gorehound and spends 2 to cast its Wraithbane Animus. Dreamer casts Abyssal Gate on the Sentinel, and she does damage without needing to boost, which is why Future Sight's a hell of a drug. And she tucks it out of the zone, placing it as far away as she can. She then advances 6 inches to get within 8 inches of the turtle and enfeeble the turtle.
Enfeeble's really rough for the same reason that a Gremlin Swarm's really rough, in that the minuses from it are to the roll, not a specific stat. So they work on every part of the turtle, which it hates because it doesn't like being Rat 3.
I mean, you've got Carnivore to overcome that a little bit, but it
Sure.
still affects all of your damage rolls, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Takes you down to POW, 11? No, more than that.
The spears go down to POW 9. The tail goes down to POW 16. The gun goes down to POW 11. Yes.
Yeah. So the Death Knell charges the Venator cannon, and it gets a couple of impacts.
Yep. So you get an impact on some beast handlers, the Venator, and the turtle.
I get 3 dice in the turtle because it is a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a point in, maybe 2.
Yep. You do some damage.
The impact kills the cannon crew you take up, and my charge attack kills the cannon crew more robustly this time.
Yeah, so you've taken the cannon crew off the table, which is pretty good. I liked them. They did jobs really well, and now they're gone. Cruel world. Tonguelick comes up and continues to be a jerk face.
I debate a couple of different options here, but ultimately decide I want to put him in melee range. So he's now engaging the turtle. At this point, I'm hoping that you move the turtle a little bit without thinking and proc the shadow. And I get to put a heavy in melee range of the turtle, which will finish the turtle and lock this game down for me. Tonguelick casts Abyssal Gate, hits the turtle, but then he does not do sufficient damage. It would have been really nice to turn the turtle around and stick it 3 inches further away. That would have also been a really solid line of play here. Dreamer's on 2 camp. The Gorehound advances over and kills the Feralgeist, sprints behind the wall, and I score a point in the top zone, a point on the flag, and Dreamer's camp in 2. I'm contesting your flag pretty robustly. At this point, it's 4 points to 1.
Yep.
I've got a 3-point lead. What's the move, Rasheth?
So I'm going to use the Aradus to spray the mouse guard off the flag and do some more damage to the Cage Rager. I'm not really looking to do too much damage to the beasts. Like, it's not really important because if I want to do what I want to do, which is kill Baron Tonguelick and charge you with a turtle, it doesn't matter what I do to the beasts just because you're going to get to proc the shadow regardless. So it's more about just, making sure we don't completely lose on scenario if this goes the wrong way. So, do some spraying. The Willbreaker is going to run in range to Bloodmark the Dreamer. But I quickly realize that once I activate Resheth, that's not going to be the plan. That can't be the plan because I have no possible way of dealing with this stupid frog that's blocking my charge lane because I can't trample over him with the turtle because he is a medium base.
He's the best caster attachment.
And he's in cover and engaged because he has a 3-inch melee. So he's def 22 against ranged and magical. So Rasheth, if he wants to hit, has to roll a boosted 14. And since I've already ran the Willbreaker, I don't get to Puppet Master that boosted roll, which makes it worse in a variety of ways. But anyways, I can't get line of sight through the forest for the
Krea?
Yeah, I think I was measuring actually for the slinger that I have left, or sorry, this is for I'm proxying out for a model that I can't see.
Is it the Novitiate?
I think it's the Novitiate moving so that I can arc through there or something. But it doesn't work out. Can't get a line of sight through there. So
it's Marketh, right?
Yes, I think it's Marketh.
Marketh walks 6 and dresses Thunder Spirit with a boost.
Indeed. Can't get there. So it doesn't really matter. So I'm like, what does Marketh do this turn? He can boost a Sunder Spirit at the death. No, that seems bad. So he's probably going to end up just using Harmonious Exaltation to help this be less painful for me. The Soulward, again, can't really do much. Eyeless Sight doesn't help against cover. And the Death Knell's not living, so it can't Annihilate and Gaze it, which means it's like a POW 6 against the Death Knell, which, again, not particularly useful.
It's only minus 14.
Yay. So we charge the Krea into the back of the Death Knell because I have models to use and time is a wasting and this doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to roll some dice because I can. So we're there. We do some damage to the Death Knell. It's not a huge amount. I'm not expecting to kill it in any capacity. I just figured might as well roll dice with the models I have while I can. Okay, great. Now that that's over, how do we do this? Yep, nope, just have to roll the 14. Oh, wait, no, I do have an AoE 3 that even its blast damage is POW 12. So there's a chance that with that AoE 3, it still scatters, hits the toad, and I get to boost damage and kill him. So we're going to go with that. We miss, okay, that sucks, but the blast damage hits, which is such a godsend. The boosted damage kills the toad. And that was perfect.
You did need a boosted 7 here, which is
I did, and I rolled an 8, I think. So there's a Breath of Corruption Cloud now. It's not hugely important.
Yeah, it doesn't. We measure it a little bit more exactingly at the moment, but the turtle space is sufficiently wide that cloud almost definitely doesn't block.
It would have to basically land immediately in front of the Dreamer in order for it to.
Yeah, it goes the wrong way for it to be relevant. So we recenter it. We move it the 1 inch to the 2. I think it was actually 2 inches to the 1.
Sure.
Anyway,
Unimportant.
Not super relevant. No placement means the turtle doesn't end up in it or across it, and no placement means that Dreamer's line of sight is blocked. So Dreamer is on 2 transfers, expecting to be charged by an enfeebled turtle who's about to take a free strike from a Death Knell with Finisher and a 1 damage from a Breath of Corruption.
And 1 damage from Beast Handler, so that it actually fills up on Fury.
Correct.
So, we also throw in a Sunder Spirit from Rasheth that does 7 damage.
So because this 7 damage, I actually transfer this, which is rough. I would have rather not have to transfer that. Willbreaker dies.
Willbreaker dies from that second casting through it. The Beast Handler does the 1 point of damage to throw another Fury on the turtle. And then we charge. I opt to go base to base for the impact attack. I mean, there's no reason not to. If you already have transfer targets, so spawning a shadow doesn't matter. And at this point in the game, I think if this doesn't happen, then the game is kind of lost anyway.
I do some damage, but obviously not sufficient to kill. Breath of Corruption does 1 more damage. The shadow is a Cage Rager. The Cage Rager shows up base to base with the turtle, hanging out, ready to punch if Dreamer lives. Dreamer's defense 15, and the turtle is mat 4.
So the impact needs an 11. The impact misses. That's not the important part. The important part is the boosted cavalry charge with the tail, and that does land, which is probably the most important part of this entire run. So the Dreamer is knocked down. Dice even does 14 damage on the
She transfers that to the spawned shadow.
Unsurprising. The spears are POW 9. One of them does some damage. The other one does not. And then we dial up the guns, and we we spike damage on every single one of these damage rolls. And she does not live through the hail of fire. So we even end with 3 rage left on the turtle.
Hitting the
tail attack.
Charge attack with the tail was the big part of that.
Is huge.
Because that gives you the free damage roll, which would have needed 11s to hit on all of the gun attacks and all of the spear attacks, which all did meaningful chip damage.
Correct.
So anyway, great game. Came right down to it. I think if that turtle fails to kill Dreamer, it dies right there.
100%.
Like she casts Manifest Destiny, that Cage Rager kills it, and then the Death Knell maybe kills some stuff in the zone, and we're playing cleanup. So solid, tight game. Came right down to the end. Fun lists to play against each other. Some surprises, some twists and turns that happened during the course of that game, and then also parts of it that, played out a little bit predictably because of the way the pieces involved are tuned.
Yep. Yeah. All of that seems pretty legit. I mean, it felt a lot closer than it. I think it would. The end of the game seemed a lot closer than the middle of the game might have to some people, because despite that huge swing where I killed 4 heavies in 1 turn, I'm playing against a 6 heavy list with 3 effectively.
Sure. Yeah.
So I need that swing, and even though you have 2 at the end, 2 heavies left at the end of it, like that's still more than enough. to bring it back into your favor. Because as soon as you kill one of my air quotes heavies, it's really bad for me because I have nothing else that can deal with beasts really.
Sure. If I'd been a little bit smarter with that clock in the mid game, I've got one more heavy a little bit later.
Yep.
That's a huge tipping point.
Yep.
If you'd thought a little bit more about Abyssal Gate, you'd be in a better situation. It was a great game. Lots of good mistakes that really represented how challenging the game could end up being. I had a good time.
Yeah, I did as well. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Arcane Assist. And with all that in mind, we will see you next Monday.